Welcome to the Inflation and Escalation Tutorials for Cost Analysis presented by the Office of the Secretary of Defense and the Cost Assessment Data Enterprise. I'm your host, Eric Lofgren. Today we'll be talking about how to create a weighted index. Key concepts will include expenditures and the fact that they use a raw index. Expenditures are transactions at a specific point in time. Say I bought a computer today and a computer next year. The observed values of the computer can form a raw index. The percent change in the price of the computer from 1 year to the next being equivalent to the percent change in the raw index value from the same time periods. Suppose, however, that the manufacturer of a computer requires several years to build the computer. In this case, the purchaser must give the manufacturer the amount of money up front such that the manufacturer can develop the computer over the next several years. This requires not just the value of the computer if it were all bought today, because the manufacturer will be expending the dollars in the creation of the computer over the several years. Now, the Department of Defense often uses obligations, and obligations, which include outlays or expenditures across multiple years, require a weighted index to account for the price change in the subsequent years in which the dollars are expended. Let's start by assuming a raw index, which is always 1 in the base year. Let's further assume the index pertains to the cost changes of U.S. Navy combat ships, which, for simplicity, let's say will increase at 4% per year for each and every year. This is represented by taking the previous index value multiplied by 1 plus the escalation rate, or 0.04. We can drag the formula down, which will provide us the raw index from 2005 to 2020 for U.S. Navy combat ships. The 2020 value is 1.801, which means that a constant quality U.S. Navy ship costs 80% more in 2020 than it did in 2005. Note that escalation indexes are often quality or content constant, meaning that performance increases due to new or more advanced subsystems are excluded. U.S. Navy ships often take several years to produce because they are large and complex end items. Let's say, for simplicity, that a U.S. Navy ship will, on average, be produced over 4 years. The outlay profile and will extend for 4 years. Let's further assume that 25% of the value of the ship is produced in each of the 4 years. So we can say 25% of the value is outlaid in years 1 through 4. How do we create a weighted index? Well, first we must determine what the weighted index value for a specific year 2005. So for 2005, this will be done by taking the outlay rate for year 1 divided by year 1 of the raw index in 2005. So that is 1.0. We can drag this formula down for each of the 4 years in the outlay profile, and we will get values here for each year. What this is saying is, let's assume that I gave the contractor $1 in the first year, and he was to outlay 25% of that. Well, in the first year, because there's no escalation that had occurred, that is equal to 25% in year 1. However, what happens in year 2? We give the contractor 25 cents to expend in year 2. However, escalation has occurred over the time period such that
the 25 cents that we have provided the contractor, 4% of that is eaten away through escalation, such that the contractor feels as though he only receives 24 cents of what was expected in 25 cents. This logic continues down such that in year 4, the contractor is only receiving 22 cents of the value of what was 25 cents due to the escalation, which is now a full 12% greater than it was in 2005. So now the contractor, if we sum the values, is only receiving 94.4% of the dollars it requires to produce the end item because of the escalation that has occurred between 2005 and 2008. In order to convert the $1 provided to the contractor into the correct amount, we will take 1 divided by that number we had calculated, or 94%, and that will provide us 1.060, meaning that if we want to provide the contractor enough funds to fulfill the production order over 4 years at an outlay rate of 25% each year, we'll have to provide them $1.06. Now, how do we find this weighted index value for each and every year? Here we have only provided the index value for 2005. Well, we can do this very simply by using the exact same logic in an Excel array formula. So what we will do is take equal 1 divided by the sum of the outlay rates, lock those cells, divided by the raw index values. Do not lock those cells, such that when we drag the formula down, the raw index range will also shift down so that you're using the correct values for the correct weights. And parentheses, and we can use Control-Shift-Enter to enter that value as an array, and we note that our weighted index value for 2005 corresponds to what we had previously calculated if we provide the same number of decimal points. So again, we have a 2005 value, and what this formula is saying is 1 divided by the sum quotient of the outlay rates divided by the raw index. We can drag this formula down, and it will provide us the weighted index values for years 2005 through 17. Now we will not get the 2018 value precisely because any obligation in 2018 will have an expenditure 4 years hence, and because we do not have a 2021 raw index value, we cannot calculate the 2018 outlay rate. If we extend the formula one more down, you will see that the outlay rates are still the same, but the raw index now is including a missing value. Hope this has been helpful. Please join us again. Thank you.